Ballerina marks the most ambitious expansion of the John Wick universe to date, being the first official spin-off of the franchise created by Chad Stahelski and Derek Kolstad. Directed by Len Wiseman and written by Shay Hatton, the film starring Ana de Armas establishes a new feminine perspective within the world of professional assassins, combining the deadly elegance of classical dance with the visceral brutality of lethal combat. The story takes place chronologically between the events of John Wick, Chapter 3 Parabellum, and John Wick, Chapter 4, taking place during the turbulent period when New York's Continental Hotel was under siege and the High Table was reorganizing its global operations. It is in this context of chaos that we meet Eve Macaro, played by Ana de Armas, a young Cuban-American ballerina whose life is tragically destroyed. Eve Macaro was not born into the world of professional assassins. She grew up in a modest but loving family, where her father worked as a mechanic and her mother was a dance teacher. From a young age, Eve demonstrated an exceptional talent for ballet, dedicating endless hours to perfecting her technique. Her discipline, precision, and natural grace set her apart from other dancers. Eve's tranquil life is brutally interrupted when a violent cult invades her home one ordinary night. This group, led by shadowy figures with deep connections to the criminal underworld, coldly murders her parents before her eyes. The motivation behind this attack is revealed to be connected to her father's hidden past, which had ties to criminal organizations. Eve manages to escape the massacre only thanks to her agility and survival instincts honed through years of intense physical training. It is during this desperate escape that her path crosses with members of Ruska Roma, the mysterious Russian assassin organization. Ruska Roma, led by the formidable director played by Anjelica Huston, immediately recognizes Eve's lethal potential. Her classical dance skills, combined with her insatiable thirst for revenge and iron discipline, make her an ideal candidate for training as a professional assassin. The director offers Eve not only shelter and protection, but also the tools she needs to seek justice. Eve's training at Ruska Roma is presented through visually stunning sequences that demonstrate how balletic movements can be adapted and transformed into lethal combat techniques. Each plie becomes a deadly dodge, each grand jeté transforms into a devastating aerial attack, and each pirouette evolves into a multi-opponent elimination sequence. During her intensive training, Eve develops complex relationships with other members of the organization. She encounters mentors who teach her not only combat techniques but also lessons on survival in the shadowy world of professional assassins. These characters, played by actors such as Gabriel Byrne and Catalina Sandino Moreno, serve as surrogate father and mother figures. The narrative parallels how Eve gradually uncovers more details about those responsible for her family's death. The cult that destroyed her life was not just a group of random fanatics, but part of a larger network connected to the High Table's operations. This revelation adds layers of political complexity to Eve's personal quest for revenge. As Eve develops as an assassin, she begins to operate under the protection and guidance of Winston, played by Ian McShane, and Sharon, played by Lance Reddick in his final performance. The Continental Hotel in New York City becomes her temporary base of operations. Eve's journey eventually leads her to cross paths with John Wick, played by Keanu Reeves in a cameo role carefully integrated into the main narrative. John, recognizing in the young assassin some of his own thirst for revenge and ruthless determination, offers valuable guidance on how to survive in a world where every decision can be fatal. The interaction between Eve and John Wick explores themes of legacy, mentorship, and the psychological toll of a life dedicated to violence. John sees in Eve a younger version of himself, driven by the same pain and desire for justice. This dynamic adds significant emotional depth to the film. The action sequences in Ballerina set a new visual standard for the franchise, incorporating elements of contemporary and classical dance into combat choreography that is both brutal and artistically beautiful. Ana de Armas performs her own stunts in many of the most challenging sequences. The film explores diverse settings that expand the visual geography of the John Wick universe. Memorable sequences include a battle in an opera house during a live performance, where Eve uses the stage as a battlefield, and a confrontation in an abandoned dance studio. As Eve closes in on those ultimately responsible for her family's death, she discovers that her journey of revenge is part of a much larger scheme involving the restructuring of power within the High Table. Her enemies are not just common criminals, but important players in a complex political game. Norman Reedus appears as a key character who complicates Eve's mission, representing a figure from her family's past who possesses crucial information about the events that led to her parents' deaths. His presence adds layers of moral ambiguity to the narrative. The film does not ignore the psychological implications of a life dedicated to violence. Eve experiences nightmares, traumatic flashbacks, and moments of doubt about her new identity. The development of the narrative arc shows a character gradually losing her innocence, but not necessarily her humanity. The film's climax occurs during an elaborate sequence that combines elements of a chase, multi-layered combat, and intense psychological confrontations. Eve must utilize not only her honed physical skills, but also her strategic intelligence and deep understanding of her opponent's psychology. The film ends with Eve having achieved her revenge, but paying a significant price in the process. She obtains justice for the crimes committed against her family, but in the process becomes someone her parents perhaps didn't fully recognize. The final scene suggests that Eve has found a new purpose beyond personal revenge. Ballerina significantly expands the John Wick universe while telling a deeply personal story of trauma, transformation, and the pursuit of justice. Ana de Armas delivers a performance that combines physical grace with emotional intensity, creating a memorable protagonist who honors the franchise's legacy.